Hi, Ross Lemmy in the Philippines here. A bit like the day. I'm going to do something again that I don't usually do, but I just have done. So I'll do it again. And this is a response to something that somebody said to me. But it's quite important, so I think it's worth saying. There's some guy called Life Beyond the Sea or something like that. He's a YouTuber. He's a Yank, you know. And he doesn't understand the Philippines. He claims to have been living here for many years, but has no clue about Philippine culture. So the first thing to understand about Philippine culture for anyone coming here, be that you're a passport bro or whatever else, is that this is a really conservative culture. I mean, it's conservative Asian and it's conservative Catholic, right? That's two heavy conservatisms right there. Now, clearly our man doesn't get that. Maybe he's not a Catholic, he's certainly not an Asian. Let's explain a few little things here because he doesn't get it. The first thing is, you'll find, if you want to come here and meet a woman, you'll find one. There's no problem with that. There are certain corollaries, and actually he mentions this himself, which I've said about. And I've discussed these before, but we'll go through a few of them again. First of all, you are quite likely to be pursued by single mothers. Now, that's a minefield. First of all, single mothers mean babies. Babies, or young children, mean there's a father, at least one, somewhere in the picture. That father has rights over those kids. And Philippine law is very strict about these things. So that father will be a problem for you. You cannot take your children, your not lovely new wife and children, out of the country without his permission. And if there's more than one baby father, well, the paper trail becomes ridiculous. Or you could maybe adopt them. But to do that, you need the permission of the fathers. And if they're going to do that for you, they're going to screw you out of a huge amount of money. Just bear that in mind. Well, let's suppose that you meet someone who doesn't have kids. Well, you have to ask yourself, why is she dating a foreigner? Now, there's only two possible reasons. One is she likes the colour of your money. The other is she can't date Filipinos. Why would she be in a position where she couldn't date Filipinos? And the answer is she's already had a serious boyfriend who had sex with her, right? She is no longer a virgin. And in this culture, virginity is really important. Female virginity, nobody cares about male virginity. That's just, it is meaningless. But female virginity is a big deal here. Many people have commented on this, positively and negatively. Papers have been written about it. It is actually the case that particularly Filipina women are highly critical of younger females who get themselves, who lose their virginity prior to marriage. And if you actually pay attention to these things and you go on sites where Filipinas congregate, you'll find that they're very proud of their virginity. Even, some of the decent ones, when they go to America, it's like, no, I might have a boyfriend, but I'm not sleeping with him until he marries me. And that's how it works. This is a culture where if you want to have sex with a girl, you put a ring on her finger first, buddy. Catholic culture is very famous for this, and I studied this a lot in Southern Europe and in Spain, South America, all over Catholic culture. It's very similar. I lived in France for many years, which is nominally a Catholic country. The way it works is that the girl gets herself a novino, a boyfriend, but that implies a link, not just anything. That's talking about permanence. People in these cultures don't do like, I dated him for 3 nights and I fucked him on the last one. This is not part of conservative Catholic culture. Not at all. That's an American idea. The US-ican stuff. Nobody in conservative Catholic cultures believes that. They think that what you do is that first you approach the girl's father and you say, I would like permission to woo your daughter. And then you start, in this culture, in the Philippines, you start off by leaving flowers outside her door. Yeah, with no name on it, just leave the flowers. And then you might, if you can sing, You're supposed to sing, like Romeo and Juliet. You're supposed to sing outside her door so that she's charmed by your mellifluous delivery. And sooner or later, you'll get allowed to go out with her, and she will become your novina, and you will become her novino. And that is a bond that is basically a bond of betrothal, right? And girls don't give that up easily, and they don't like it to be broken easily. You're not supposed to fool with that. Now, the fact is, there are lots of very poor girls, right, from very poor families, and they look around and they go, well, how could I better myself? They don't have enough money to go to college, even to do something like a tech course, So maybe I could land myself a man. Now, if that girl gets in town with a foreigner, right, has a boyfriend relationship with a foreigner, she will never have a relationship with a Filipino. That's it. She's off the market. She's done. The Filipinos won't touch her because they won't take the leftovers of a white man's plate. They won't do it. And the girl knows that. So if she is, this guy is saying, like, go to the country areas and meet the country girls and, yeah, you can shag those. Well, yes, you can. They're probably naive enough and innocent enough and desperate enough for money in future to actually do that too. And you're taking advantage of them ruthlessly. Because you ruin that. Either you marry that girl, fine. You want to marry her? Marry her. Be my guest. By all means, I'm totally up for that. You marry her. Then she'll bring you lots of children. So as long as that's what you're up for, good for you. Keep going. If you're just looking for a casual affair, no way. You will ruin that girl's life. Ruin it. Completely destroy it. By your behaviour. And of course this guy, it's like, it's obvious that he thinks US-can culture is something valid and worth having. Whereas everybody else knows that US-can culture is a curse. It's a poison. It's a contagion that nobody wants in their country. Nobody. Nobody in the Philippines in their right minds wants a US-can culture here. I mean, okay, they might like some of the TV shows. But the idea of, this sexual revolution that apparently happened, and by the way, which has completely destroyed the USA, no, they don't want it. They're not interested in it. They want conservative family values. You enter a clan. If the clan approves you, then you get to date the girl. If the girl thinks you're cool, and it's not easy for her to change her mind. I mean, she has to decide really before she actually gets to know you very well. Because if she's dated a foreigner, she can't date local guys. I mean, yeah, maybe in Manila you get away with that. Certainly in Angeles, Sin City. Yeah, okay. You go to one of the small towns, yeah. Try that in a small town, buddy. Try that in a small town. It ain't going to work. So, this guy is bringing his US-ican notions of what is right to a Catholic culture. These are US-ican notions which are basically Protestant. And in fact, basically, just completely immoral. Amoral, rather. Within Catholic culture, there is scope for sin to be wiped away. You confess your sins to the Father, to the priest, and the priest will absolve you. Maybe you have to say some Hail Marys, maybe you have to do something else. But he will absolve you. That sin does not count against your account anymore. That's fine. So dating a foreigner a couple of times, well, maybe that could be wiped away. Losing your virginity to a foreigner, no way. No Filipino is going to touch you after that. So that girl is basically doomed to having to seek foreign boyfriends. And these are the girls that you're going to meet. The ones who've had foreigners before and therefore cannot have Filipino boyfriends. Right? Or, well, they might not be mothers, might not be single mothers, but they have broken the tradition by doing what they did. Especially if they slept with the man. And I mean, that is it. No Filipino is going to touch them. So what are they going to do? They're going to seek out a foreigner. That's you, right? So this is what you're going to get. You're going to get single mothers and basically some other white guys' leavings. Now, I'll admit, when I came first to the Philippines, I was pretty cavalier because I thought pretty much like that, you know. I hadn't spent time studying and understanding the culture. And I'm kind of ashamed sometimes about some of the ways I behaved in those days. I certainly wouldn't do it now. I mean, I wasn't that bad, you know, not by any means. You know, there were men, dear goodness, a lot worse than me. The next thing that this guy went on to say is, you know, he looked at my channel and noticed that I spend some time talking about ladyboys because it's important. And, of course, you know, he's one of these fucking Yanks, you know, insecure in his masculinity, so can't deal with that. And he says that ladyboys indicate that Filipino culture is not conservative, showing that he completely does not understand either the nature of Filipino culture or the nature of kabaklaan, which is, in this part of the country, what we call the life of the bakla, the ladyboy. And that is, a ladyboy is a feminine gay kind of male-looking guy, masculine-looking guy, right through to gorgeous, drop-dead gorgeous, beautiful woman who was born with a penis. There's nothing at all that's transgressive about that. That is completely part of conservative Filipino culture. That's why ladyboys exist. It's because they exist in a culture where girls are not available. You cannot have sex with the girls. Remember? Because if you have sex with a girl, that girl has to become your wife. So it's just, you know, her virginity has to be protected. You will not be able to have sex with her until you've married her. And this is, we're talking about locals here. You've put the ring on her finger, then, yeah, that's different. She's going to try and make as many babies as she can, as soon as she can. Ladyboys allow men to have sex without any of that. They are effectively surrogate women who permit men to have sex. That's what they actually are in this culture. And this is replicated across Southeast Asia. It's not just here. It's everywhere in Southeast Asia where you see, and in fact it's the same in Southern Europe, Southern America, or South America rather, where you'll see similar kind of things where there's quite a lot of trans women, but they don't think they're women. They know they're not women, which is the ladyboy state of being. You know, I know I'm not a woman. I can never be a mother. How could you possibly think you could be a mother? I was born male. I mean, please be reasonable. They're not insane like some in the West are, and they are completely bongy in the West. They're nuts. A male cannot be female. A man cannot be a woman. A male can be a woman, yes, but that's about how she presents, how she looks in society, and frankly, how she has sex with her partners. So the ladyboy culture, kabaklaan in this part of the Philippines, is actually a function of conservatism. It is not a function of transgressivism, which it is in the West. In the West, so-called, you know, LGBTQ nonsense, alphabetic kabeti soup, it's all about upsetting people and causing trouble and making more problems for everybody else. It's simply not like that here. The purpose of a ladyboy here is to fit in to the society around her, you know, without any trouble, and to be available sexually to the men whom she desires. Because remember, male virginity doesn't count. Nobody gives a monkeys about male virginity. You can bottom bang your ladyboy as much as you like, and nobody's going to bat an eyelid because her virginity doesn't count. She's male. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about penis virginity or, you know, bottom virginity. None of it matters because she's male. She's a substitute for a real woman. And this is absolutely easy to check because if you talk to ladyboys, I mean, some of them will go into the pageant circuit and some of them will start businesses, but basically they'll all run out of sexual partners when they're about 20. And after that, they're going to have to start paying for sex. They have to pay people called call boys for sex, which sounds horrible. You think, you're this beautiful girl, and she has to pay for sex? Westerners can't deal with it. Well, absolutely not, because the guys who would have sex with her when she was a teenager, and the girls here start having sex pretty early, you know, by Western standards, you know, shockingly early. This is ladyboys we're talking about. But by the time they get to being 18, 19, 20, no, that's it. They fall off the shelf. They're too old. Why are they too old? Because the boys they were dating, the local boys, are now seeking a wife. That is an actual woman. A woman with a vagina, born with a vagina, with whom to start a family. They have to drop all the playing around with the ladyboys. That's it. Oh, no more. Because the girls are going, hell with that. You're not hanging around with a ladyboy and then, you know, sniffing around me. I mean, there are situations, there certainly were in the past, the Binabai, for example, were known to commonly partner men who were called binatas, who were already engaged to regular girls. And apparently this was okay. I think it's a bit less so now. I think the girls here are a bit like, well, you know, if you're dating a ladyboy, what's this, you know? And remember, this happens within Filipino society, which this klutz hasn't even looked at. You know, he's seen it from the outside. You know, I know these guys inside out. You know, you see them at any bar. They're like flies around the bar, and that's their conception of Filipino culture. You know, is this collection of like-minded expats. I mean, I have nothing to do with expats. I will have nothing to do with expats. I avoid them. I specifically avoid them because I'm not interested in that community at all. It's like, no, if I'm going to hang out with people here, I'll hang out with Filipinos, thank you very much. You know, and we'll get on fine. I didn't come, you know, 10,000 miles around the world to hang out with a bunch of Westerners, Europeans, Aussies, Yanks, whatever. No, absolutely not. I mean, I have actually been known to start conversing in French because there's a whole bunch of expats around, and if they hear me English, it'll be like, oh, all right, are you one of us? Hey, and the fucking last thing I am is one of you guys. Last fucking thing. Don't let me get my high horse. So there you are. That's to understand the misconceptions. People are encouraged. Now, I think that, you know, like the passport bros thing is great. I think that's great. If your intention is to come here, find a nice girl, marry her and have kids, you know, you get my total support. It's like, yes, that's an honourable way to proceed in life. Yeah, I'm totally with you. If you ask me for advice, yeah. If you're the kind of guy that just wants to come here and bang some quim, no. No. I mean, yeah, you can do it. There's no problem doing it. Go to a bar and pay for it. You know, it's not going to cost a hell of a lot of money, but $30. And you will certainly going to be satisfied at the end of it. But the idea that you can just pick up nice girls, local girls, you know, have sex with them, and then that's fine, you can move on to the next one. No. This is a conservative culture. They don't do that sort of thing here. Like I say, maybe in Manila. And you will always find people, particularly in the big cities, who are so poor that, yeah, they'll do it. You know, they'll fuck you for a price of a decent meal. You're saying, oh, you know, you can come and stay at my place. A roof over her head? Yeah, she'll suck your cock. But that's, you know, do you want to be in that position? Do you want to have your, you know, the fact that you're so much more powerful and wealthy be the only thing that, you know, is getting you all this? I think that's pretty bad, you know. I've certainly never been in that position, you know. I've never ever paid, well, not in this country, I've never paid for sex here, not ever. And I wouldn't. But, you know, and there's plenty of girls that I have dated, taken out on meals and stuff, you know, and had a little bit of fun with, but I didn't go to bed with them, I didn't have sex with them, because I understood by then how this system worked. If I had sex with that girl, it's like, yeah, you've actually crossed your Rubicon. You know, you and that girl are supposed to be together for life after that. That's what this schmuck doesn't understand. You know, this is not USican. Thank goodness. And USican culture has no place in Asia. Nobody here wants it. It's toxic and it should be quarantined. We don't want it here. And we certainly don't want people saying that, oh, you can just go in here and behave like an American, you know, it's alright. Because the girls aren't as conservative as that fucking arsehole Rod Fleming says. Well, I'll tell you something. one of you fuckers is going to get unlucky one day and find yourself on the wrong end of a 12 gauge. And I mean it. They take their women seriously here, and they take foreigners fooling around with them very seriously indeed. So be careful. Remember, conservative culture, play by the rules here. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in the Philippines, do as the Filipinos do. Right? And remember, you're not a Filipino. They get license that you just will never get. You know, you won't get it because you're a foreigner. It's not racism, it's just a fact. You're a foreigner. You're an alien. And that applies to every country in Southeast Asia. I mean, actually, this is one of the most open and free. I would agree with that. The Philippines and Thailand are relatively, pretty okay and free, open. But, neither of these, there are girls that you can pick up, yeah, absolutely, you're going to pay them. That's going to be 1,500 whatever, baht or pesos, or more. And she'll show you a good time for it. She knows what she's doing. She's going to make you feel real nice. Smell good. Feel good. Wake up in the morning, do you again. It's going to be nice. But you are going to pay for it. Don't get away with the idea that, you can just come here and it's this paradise of women up for free, because it ain't. It isn't. And don't go around breaking hearts. That's a really horrible thing to do. Young girls, and if you're talking to a girl who's over 24 and she's not married, there's a reason for that. I wonder why. It's almost certain that the reason is she's got 2 kids at home, being looked after by her mother. Or, she had a foreign boyfriend before and that's it. She can't have a local boyfriend now, because she had a foreign boyfriend. Cooked her goose, she's done. So that's what you're dealing with. Don't believe these people who say that, the Philippines is a free, open society in the way that they think the West is, because it isn't. There are rules here. Rules that you should observe, and actually you must observe, because, here, this is Sin City, This is Angeles, right? You go to some place a lot quieter. You go up to Adams or one of these places. You behave like people behave here, and yeah, you might well end up in the river with a rock tied around your neck. Because they won't stand for that kind of behaviour, that kind of abuse of their girls, and that's how they see it. It's abuse. If you want to knock off a young girl and she's hoping for it, go for a ladyboy. As far as Filipinos are concerned, that is the purpose of a ladyboy. To be a surrogate girl who can have sex with men who need sex. That's it. The idea of a ladyboy who doesn't have sex with men is completely ludicrous. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. It can't happen for cultural reasons. Doesn't happen. That doesn't mean they're all HSTS. In fact, HSTS probably difficult to say, but there is a significant percentage of AGPs in amongst the Filipino ladyboys. Same in Thailand. But the idea that you would have people in this social role of ladyboy who did not have sex with men is completely ridiculously absurd. And it will cause people to cry with laughter were you to express it to them. Cry. Anyway, that's enough of that. Don't listen to these American schmucks who come here and they think that everything's going to be, I can just behave like a Yank, and because I'm a Yankee it's alright, I can do it. You don't have the 4th Bomber Group here. Sorry. You're limited in your ability to abuse other people. Take care. Bye bye.